Yes, this is an Action Thraxon exclusive, and you heard it here first. There are college golfers making more money than their programs. This is getting spicy, spicy, spicy. Let's see where this House of Commerce committee meeting went, and the coaches, the respective coaches, and I believe they had an athlete here too. Let's get into their comments respectively.
I'll be very brief. Mr. Whitman, can you just tell us in your world, what's the number one producing revenue sport?
Football, Congressman.
Do any of any of the others make money?
Men's basketball.
So just men's football and men's basketball are revenue producing, none of the others are.
We have two of the sports that produce revenue. They don't earn profit. And so we also make money through women's basketball and volleyball as well.
So they make revenue. I mean, you put it perfectly. They make revenue, but not profit.
Yes, sir.
So how do y'all divide what goes everywhere else?
I'm sorry.
So fact, in 2022, only 25 out of 351 Division I athletic programs were profitable. And that's the athletic programs as a whole. Think about that. Think about all the other sports, lacrosse, wrestling, that don't make profit. Pretty much that are a money burn, basically, because of the travel, the equipment, etc. I believe that a lot of these D1 programs, they would be profitable very, very easily just based off of cutting down on traveling. They spend way too much money on traveling far distances, and the way that the conferences are being realignment, that's a very, very important point to bring up that has to do with why I believe some of these programs aren't profitable. A lot of money is spent, a country metric poop ton is spent traveling. Very important thing to bring up that I don't think people realize.
How do you divide what goes everywhere else?
We generate our resources through football, men's basketball, women's basketball, volleyball, and then we redistribute that money out to fund the experience and the opportunities for the remainder of our student athletes.
So again, like what programs do you decide you have or not have based on the revenue that you have coming in?
Ultimately, there's strategic decisions left to the discretion of each institution to determine for themselves what programs we wish to sponsor and at what level of resource we're able to provide them.
This is very, very important for women's sports. Now, unfortunately, and because I experienced this exactly where I went to school, they don't have the money to have programs for both women's and men's. In my situation, very specifically the track program, they had to have a certain amount of people there just to barely keep that program running. So I say that because the women get disparaged in this situation the most because their sports aren't profitable. Excuse me. People aren't coming. Their sports aren't profitable. People don't come to their games very as much as they would other sports. So it makes it hard for a school to make sense financially to put on some of these sports for women that lose out on this specifically.
So what's your, let's say, okay, you have football, men's basketball. Do you have a third, what's number three?
We have an incredibly competitive men's golf program.
Okay, so men's golf, perfect example. What do those kids get paid NIL?
They do receive NIL contracts. They probably don't at many institutions, but at the University of Illinois, because of the profile that our golf program enjoys, they are the beneficiaries of NIL arrangements.
So the golfers make money, but the program does not.
Correct.
Thank you.
If that's not so as bad, listen, look. Somebody's going to be mad. It's already, I can sniff it a mile away. Somebody's going to be mad. This kid getting 100 bands, whatever, got 200 bands, getting more than the coaches, basically, essentially. And then at some of these programs, D1, you talk about a smaller sport, most definitely some of these athletes are getting more than their coaches. So they're going to be like, oh, you need to start paying for your uniforms, or it's going to be it's going to be something. It's going to be something.
Coach Beamer, thank you very much for being here. Can you take us through a normal, and I know SEC now, so a recruit comes in, you go to a
SEC party school, crazy, yeah, exactly.
Recruit comes in. What's the first topic of discussion these days?
NIL, where my money at, cuz? Where my bread, cheese, cheddar, cheese? Can I get my dick? Where am I going to get my dick wet at? Is there the females here? What's popping? Come on now.
We start recruiting them really early. So maybe when they're a young player in high school, it's about the uniforms and things like that.
That is
and
what
then
it used to
certainly
be.
as they get
That's what it
older
used
and
to be.
closer to making a decision, they want to talk about opportunities in our town. They want to talk about
A smart
academics.
kid will talk
they want
about
to talk
academics.
about playing time. We talk about the fan base and the resources and the development that our program provides.
Can you get me to the league, nigga?
And certainly NIL is a topic that comes up, but is it typically at the forefront? Not necessarily.
Define not necessarily. I mean, let's say 5-star, 4-star recruits. Is that not the number one topic of discussion?
I wouldn't necessarily say it's the number
There's
one.
something interesting about a 4 or 5-star. Those stars on those recruits, and I've seen this somewhere. It's 100% associated with money. There's money being when you get those stars attached to your name. Whoever's recruiting you is making some money off of you, essentially. So don't pretend like it's money from the jump. Is my point.
One, I think it really depends on the young man. There have been those type of players that have been in my office that it's one of the first things that comes up, and there's other players that have come in my office and it hasn't come up at all. Now, I'm not naive to say that outside of my office with other people, they may be having those conversations, but in regards to me, that's the experience that I have with players.
And what about for the players in the portal? Is that
And,
players
so, and to augment that fact, some of these people already got NIL deals and got almost it's getting crazy, or got an agent or somebody. It's just that it's so they're and at that point they're trying to figure out how to make especially those 4 and 5-star guys. They're trying to figure out how they can make some more money. They don't smelt the blood in the water, preferably speaking.
The portal, I'd say the NIL conversation is a little bit more prevalent because so many of those young men in the portal, they've done something at the other school in a lot of situations as well. Being from the state of Texas, you're familiar with your rival, Oklahoma, and Spencer Rattler. Spencer Rattler transferred to the University of South Carolina. Spencer had accomplished a lot at the University of Oklahoma. Him coming to the University of South Carolina, he had proven a lot. So certainly,
it's become a major factor in recruiting is what have you done lately, and what have you done lately don't mean what you did in high school against 16 and 17 year olds. They want to know if you can compete on this level with grown ass men, borderline grown, the biggest, giantest, hungriest people in the competition that you can find, basically.
in situations like that, they're going forward. There's NIL conversations that are a little bit more prevalent with transfers that have been in college.
And that's kind of where I'm going, right? I mean, the whole student body experience, in my opinion, is to get an education first. We all know the reality of this is with NIL, with the money in sports now, with the golfers at Illinois getting paid more than the program generates, we have a major problem in this country. And we have to fix it. And I believe now it's up to us to fix it because there is no equality anymore.
Right.
It's who gets paid the most and where those players go. And if they're unhappy, they transfer.
Exactly. And the problem with the transferring is that they've transferred multiple times, and now coaches are allowed to do this. Coaches have been allowed to do this, but when you're talking about money, this is basically a professional league at this point. This is basically a professional league, and I think that you definitely should be allowed to transfer, but there's transfer. I mean, I bring up Hailey Van Lith because she transferred 3 times, and part of that has to do with COVID or what have you. But that didn't used to happen.
And they can easily transfer. And do they go to another academic institution because of the programs that they have in education, or possibly what they're going to get paid? These are 18, 19, 20-year-old kids that are out for a paycheck rather than education. And I think it's up to change that moving forward. Thank you all very much for being here.
you know the answer to that question. And what really blows my mind and here's what blows my mind: all these people that transferred, and why I didn't transfer in my time in college specifically was due to the classes that I had already taken, and I could see the discrepancies in, which goes back to more money. And when you go from one school to another, the syllabus and the curriculum vitae is a little bit different for every place that you go to. And the fact that these people, if any of them, have transferred and get degrees and are able to maintain their status with their credits regardless of where they transfer schools is simply amazing to me, because depending on where you go, it could be it could be heaven and worlds different, and based on the curriculum and the degree that you have, that all those classes transfer. I have a hard time believing that, and that is something else that's been lowered. And I know Colorado got to experience it. Is the academic standards got lowered in order to get into some of those places, which also I don't believe is a good thing for producing great results. So. But that's just about all I got. You already know what the deal is. Run on your toes, keep your mouth closed, lock your doors, and save your throws. Most importantly, live, find another damn, and get out of here.